Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Now before I do go on, please make sure that you like, you comment and you subscribe already. I want to see those comments flooding down. As I said earlier on, I am on a journey to 50,000 subscribers by November, so please let's make sure we share the word and we get into it. Now, in terms of exterior design, personally, I think this car looks absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. And that's with any Porsche product, really. The way that they design their cars is simply phenomenal. The way they engineer the cars is even phenomenal, if there's such a word. Now, when we start at the front, you've got this blacked out gloss lip, which looks really, really good looking, especially contrasting this icy gray metallic color paintwork. Your Porsche crest is still at the top there. You then get your LED indicator lamps, which run horizontally. There's massive air dams that feed engine into that 4-liter twin-turbo V8. And that V8 will give you 368 kilowatts as well as 660 newton meters of torque. It sends power to all wheels via an 8-speed PTK, which I personally think is one of the best gearboxes in the game, to be honest with you guys. Then you've got your Porsche LED matrix headlights. These headlights do an absolutely stunning job at night. I have tried capturing some footage at night for you guys. These do an amazing job in terms of not dazzling the driver in front and just making sure that you are seeing the road throughout. Coming to the side, you've got this absolutely good looking 21-inch alloy with a center lock. Mwah, mwah. This thing is so gorgeous. I've had so many people coming up to me and say, "Gee, is that a real center lock? Oh no, it looks so good." And it looks really good. And then your red brake calipers, which are for the GTS range. Overall, you always see a GTS with those red brake calipers, and they do a massive job also at stopping the vehicle. And I think Porsche driving dynamics is truly unmatched, and I mean, we'll talk about that later on, but let's stick to the design for now. You then get the splitter that run all the way across here, and I love just how they've designed it. Just how it comes this way. Geez, man. I even struggle to find words for it because all the design elements that are on this car are built for purpose. So this also helps with air, and you can just see over here just how it goes. And I prefer this GTS lettering on here as opposed to the one that's on the Cayenne GTS, where you have the GTS decals right on here. This subtle GTS badge on here, decal rather on here, does a really good job. You then have this big wing mirror on here with your indicator as well as your surround view camera, keyless entry into the vehicle, and in true Porsche fashion, soft closing doors, sloping roof line that runs all the way to the back, and then you can see this haunch here, which is very reminiscent of the Porsche 911 Carrera that I had. And like I mentioned, it can start its own OnlyFans account, and I will definitely subscribe to it. You've got your panoramic sunroof. This is an option, and I would suggest that you take it because it just gives a really good silhouette in the car, and on the car rather, as well as so much light into the vehicle. Now, I'm going to turn the car around for you guys before we do the interior and go for that, much needed drive. But I do think that Porsche have done an amazing job with the Panamera. I cried about the V6, which was the 4 that we drove. Now, you can imagine just how I felt when I drove the V8. I mean, I cried with the Cayenne GTS. Now imagine you are lower, you are lighter, and you still pack that same engine. Let's turn the car around. The rear of the Porsche Panamera GTS looks absolutely stunning. Whether that spoiler is up or down, it just looks really good. But for me, for the class, I prefer it just down because it does come up on its own when you're going really fast. But these haunches right on here, those curves, deserves an OnlyFans account for their own. You do then get your fuel filler cap right on here. And then this dark surroundings which are around by the tail lights, and as we know now, the tail bar runs all the way across, and it looks absolutely gorgeous at night as well. Your Porsche as well as your Panamera GTS signs are in all black, just to emphasize that sportiness, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, especially in this icy gray metallic paintwork. Then you've got 4 real exhaust pipes, and they sound absolutely beautiful. The soundtrack that they produce for me, whether you're upshifting or downshifting, and I've mentioned this again in the Cayenne GTS review that I did recently. If you haven't watched that, do that right now. Whoa, not right now, after this review. Then you do have a diffuser right on here, and I do like the way that they've split this area. You can see that this is a really sporty car, and I love that a lot. Now, when you do open your electrically operated tailgate, you've got a lot of boot space. A really, okay, let me say it right. You've got decent amount of boot space. If I can just shift over here, and I'll try and move my Crocs out of the way for you guys. But you've got an enormous boot, and this is what I love about the Panamera GTS, is that it goes really wide and deep, and you can load up bags for your business bags, because you're such an important person, your family is important, so are your kids, so you can load up so many things in that boot. You can also open it up, and then there is some storage on here. There is no spare wheel, but you will get a tire repair kit, or you can always call Porsche Assist to help you with that. But you can also load up some stuff in here should you want to do that. So yeah, also a 12-volt socket right onto there should you want to connect something into the boot. But I do love the entire material. Everything in this car is just really well crafted and well thought of. I'll put back my Crocs. In this Porsche review, I'm not wearing my Crocs, and I do know in the 911 Carrera I was wearing these Crocs, but I was on holiday. So yeah, let's jump inside, and then we can then see what it's like in the interior. But I do love Porsche interior so much, and yeah, let's jump inside. When you jump inside of a Porsche product, and as most of you guys know, it's my favorite place to be in. And I know a lot of people have complained about the digitalization of the instrument cluster, but I'm pretty sure by now, if you watch my videos, you will realize that I really don't care about that, because they are clear, concise, they work absolutely brilliant. They're always in reach of your steering wheel, so you can always see what you're doing. And yes, I do get people want that nostalgic feeling of, having your rev counter dial in the middle, which is still but we are in 2025 now. Keep up with the times. You do get this really good looking multifunctional leather steering wheel, and as always in true Porsche style, you do have your drive mode selector dial right on there, and you can press it to get that instant 20-second boost. It just looks really good with your Porsche crest right in the middle there. Everything just feels real quality, and it's also heated should you want it to. And this dial, like I mentioned earlier on, the digital driver's display, like I mentioned rather, is really clear and concise. Then you come to the middle here, you've got your infotainment with wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. Really quick to connect anything. At the top, since the sports chrono pack, you do get that sports watch, and you can easily, that sports clock rather, and you can easily then measure your 0 to 100 times. This panel right on here with your climate control still retains physical buttons and knobs, which is really functional for me, as well as your volume knob. You then get a wireless charger, which is ventilated to make sure that your phone doesn't heat up. 2 Type-C charging ports. There's 2 cup holders on here. You do have space in here for you to put whatever that you want for extra storage in there. Your passenger gets a screen, and I mentioned it as well in the Porsche Cayenne GTS that this screen is not disruptive at all. And that's one thing that I appreciate, because especially at night, that's exactly what you want, so that the driver can focus on driving, and the passenger can focus on viewing whatever that they want to view really. This seat's comfortable, electrically adjustable for the driver and passengers. They're heated and ventilated for the driver as well as the passenger, and I think that's really amazing. They do then get your Porsche crest in the headrest, as well as the GTS decal rather. You've got a panoramic sunroof on the car. It is an option to spec on, and I would suggest that you do spec that. It's really good. And you can then open your side in terms of the sunshade. The driver can open their own sunshade, and the rear passengers can also close their sunshades, which I think for me is really good looking, which I think for me quite works. It's giving a very classy GT, man. It's proper. You do also get a lot of ambient lighting in the car, and it's not too bright that distracts you. And I do know a lot of brands like having the ambient lighting like way too much, whereas this is subtle, but it's really out there, and it does work. I'm going to jump into the rear, and for me that was always my favorite place to be inside a Porsche Panamera. I mean, even if you go back to my Panamera 4 video that I did, that just gave really executive vibes, and that's the exact same thing that's happening in this car as well. So let's jump into the rear. You're probably wondering why I'm holding a jacket, but I'll show you now. Now, in true Porsche style, you've got soft close. I'm just going to hang my jacket right here at the top, so that when I get to my business meeting, everything is still in order. Now, you do have an amazing amount of knee room, decent amount of head space as well, which is actually, it's not decent, it's absolutely amazing for me. And this is the sitting position that I have. As you can see, there's so much space there. My favorite feature inside of the Porsche Panamera has always been the fact that I can always close my sunshade, which is the one at the rear, and that closes, and you can always open it, And I think for me, that's always, I mean, just look at that. There's no need for the driver to be handling these tedious jobs for myself. I can essentially do it myself. If I do want some light or if I don't want some light, I can just always close that, which I think gives it such a really good feel and a great executive package to be in. When you open here, you then have a solid armrest with 2 cup holders, which can take decent sized bottles rather. I'm so used to saying decent amount. Decent sized bottles right onto here to figure out what I can place onto here. But I'm pretty sure it's something that you can always attach onto here and then it locks in place. The aren't red seat belts in this car. It's the black, but you can spec it to have the red seat belts that were in the Porsche Cayenne GTS. The seating position is amazing. And I honestly love it. If you do want heated rear seats, it is another option that you have to pay for. But to be honest, the Porsche crest and the leather material still comes in all the way to the back. And man, I mean, just feel that. I mean, there's a place right here to place your phone. You've got air vents right on here. You've got air vents again in your side of the door so that it directs air directly to you as well. Yo, guys, have money or you are going to suffer. Let's go for the drive. Before I even get into this drive, I just want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe, because I know a lot of people are watching but are not subscribed. Why aren't you subscribing, Tsepo, Bianca, Greg? Why aren't you guys subscribing? Minesh? Huh? Why aren't you guys subscribed? Please like, comment, and subscribe. I've told you guys we're on the hunt for 50,000 subscribers by November. Either beginning or the end. Beginning would be fine, but if it's the end, that's also fine. So let's get to 50,000 subscribers. I know we can do it, so please like, comment, and subscribe now. Then you can hear all the pipes. What's under this? I've mentioned it already. 4-liter twin-turbo V8. And same power plant that is inside the Cayenne GTS that I've driven. If you haven't watched that review, I'd appreciate it if you went to watch it. So same 4-liter twin-turbo V8 producing 368 kilowatts as well as 660 newton meters of torque. Now, that is a lot of power in this car, and it's a lot of power. There is no electric trickery or wizardry going on in this car. It's just straight, pure, bonkers engineering, displacement, and like I always say, there's no replacement for displacement, and that's what's exactly happening in this here car. 0 to 100 is claimed at 3.8 seconds. This is fitted with the sports chrono pack. It sounds absolutely brilliant. Gee whiz. I just can't, and I said this again in my Porsche Cayenne GTS review, that how did they get away with this? Because this is really loud. Yes, my opinion though is that Cayenne GTS is louder than this Panamera GTS, or unless it is just maybe my ears playing some foolery on me, but I do think that is louder as opposed to this one. And listen, the range in here that I got when I picked it up was 650 kilometers of range. I've done about 476 kilometers. I'm sitting with 76 kilometers of range. So you can say I've done about 520 odd kilometers on a single tank, which is not too bad. I'm going to fill up now. The car leaves tomorrow, so in a period of 5 days, I've covered essentially over 500 kilometers, and that's not too bad, especially for a car of this magnitude. So well done there. In terms of fuel consumption, I'm sitting at 15.6 liters per 100 kilometers throughout the week that I've been doing now. So well done to Porsche. The ride is absolutely brilliant, and because you're sitting so low on the ground, you can feel everything that the car is doing, and trust me, it does it with so much grace. 3 drive modes. You've got normal, sport, as well as sport plus. And even in normal, you can just essentially just switch on your sports exhaust, and that essentially gives you such a nicer feeling as you're driving it, and it's not so loud. Well, it's not so quiet. But if you do want it to be quiet, you can just switch off that sports exhaust, and it's still fine. Dial it into sport, and the suspension lowers slightly. The car is already 10 mils lower to the ground as opposed to the GTS, the standard Panamera, and I've driven the Panamera before, which I thought, that was really, just hear that, the change down. Oh my word. So it is lower to the ground as opposed to the Panamera, the standard Panamera, which is a V6 that I drove. But wow, man, this is just really good. Then you get into Sports Plus and the car just becomes like a monster. You drive and you get over 70 k's an hour. Then that sports that aerodynamic wing comes out, and it comes out with so much class, man. There's so much drama going on there. How it lifts up and then opens those wings. It's just really good, and it feels, oh man, it feels really, really good to drive, man. Really, really good to drive. I think the upshifts are quick, and if you do get close, there's a warning, the risk, forward collision warning risk coming already out. So, man, I'm really, really impressed. For that 3.3 million rand price tag, I really, really think that this is a bargain, especially in the GT space, right? And I think Porsche know how to price their cars so well. You've got a car that drives absolutely well, that's been well engineered, that's got the class, that will not depreciate any time faster as opposed to the other brands that I can mention. And there's simply nothing for Porsche. There is absolutely nothing for a Porsche. So I don't know how many times I'm gonna keep saying well done to Porsche, but well done to Porsche. Ah, man. Just hear that. Lightning quick gear shifts. That 8-speed PDK transmission, honestly for me, does everything. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love it so much. Now, in terms of safety, you've got all the safety suites that are available to you. You've got, I mentioned earlier on, the front collision warning. You've got blind spot assist, rear cross traffic. So should you want to open the doors, or should you, it's got everything, all full host. I'll actually put all the safety features for you guys, because if I do go through each and every one of them, it will take forever. So it does have every one of those features in terms of safety wise for you guys. But what was it? It was 600, isn't it? 600. Yeah, 95. Eh? Why? Asiaka bravo me. Asiaka. Asiaka. Hey. Yeah, but I'm trying to work my best. By inspire, sure. Because the car has all-wheel steering, it helps you in terms of taking on corners very well, or just it's a long car and it doesn't feel like it even when you're parking or when you're reversing out of tight spaces, because of that all-wheel steering that it has. And I think that's a really, really cool feature, that especially for long cars like this, that they've incorporated into the Panamera GTS. Yeah, have money or you're gonna suffer for real, guys. But I think Porsche have done an exquisite job with this Panamera GTS. It drives absolutely brilliant. You can feel the sporty DNA of the car coming through, and they're just really good with their GTS models. I mean, I have mentioned this even with the with the Cayenne GTS, that car was just extremely bonkers, and to a point where, do you need the sportier version? Do you need it? And I mean, right now there is that the hybrid, which is also pushing over 500 kilowatts, and yes, it's got all the power and all that, but for me, I think for a petrol head, this is absolutely just brilliant. This is exactly what you need. I don't think you need more, but obviously as a person, we will always want more. But I think for me, this is where it ends in the range, and this is essentially what I would always gun for, as opposed to going for the other model, which is just above this, which is that hybrid. And I do know that they've put in a lot of work into that. I mean, we've seen the suspension, this air suspension, the active air suspension on this car, making sure that the ride is always subtle, it's always soft and smooth, whether you're on corrugated roads or uneven surfaces. It's low, but it's always great. And even with the lift that you do have here, it does go higher, so that I mean, I took it on some slightly gravel road, that drive a patch that I had to drive over, and I wasn't worried because I just knew I could lift up the suspension. When I lift up the suspension, the car will, take off, and it won't scrape, or it won't, it won't affect anything on the car, and the ride was still comfortable. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to please subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to comment and share this video with all your loved ones. And up until next time, Peace out. Whoa, before I forget, if you're in South Africa, don't forget to always keep left and pass right. Please be safe on the roads. Up until next time, peace out. I love you guys.